Welcome to the RPGBOT.Podcast. I'm Randall James, and
The
with
real
me is
monsters
Tyler
be metal.
Kempstra. Yeah,
Hi,
you are.
everybody. I'm
And Ash
messing up.
Eli.
I'm the true monster of the RPG podcast.
Oh my. Okay. Dan apparently has just recognized. I've never realized this. So, Ash, your full name is Asher. Tyler, your name is always Tyler. Nobody's ever called you Tyle. So, Dan has now made me Randaler.
That's true.
Tyle? That would be such a weird name.
It
Hi,
really would.
I'm Tyle Campstra.
Yeah.
I walk on you in my
Tyle
bath.
Kempstra. I'm proud to tell you about the Monster Manual.
Randall I do like Randall
Yeah.
Because it's Asher, Tyler,
Oh.
Randall
Yeah.
Yours could work short
I've known
form,
Rand.
though.
I grew up as
That could
Randy.
work. Rand.
Yeah, a
Or
lot of
maybe
people call me
Doll. Doll. Can we call you Doll?
Doll face. I'm going to teardrop tattoo unironically.
Randy. Okay, yeah, Randy. Yeah, Randy is a good one.
I grew up as Randy.
Although I don't think it fits you at all.
Like I
Randy.
spent 19 years of my life.
Really, I
then
couldn't
I
see
made-
you as a Randy.
More
Well,
hair.
imagine
I had
less
like an
beard
afro.
and more hair on top.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, very
It's funny,
well.
it's like-
I could see that then. Yeah.
My
See that
family
as a
that I
Randy.
grew up with, like, still
Yeah, no, that's
unironically
definitely
calls
for
me Randy. And then anytime my wife or I hear it, like, we both immediately do the Randy. Like, that's, yeah. Randy's also not in the Monster Manual. I don't know if this surprises you or not. 2024 Monster Manual, listen to a few things. One of them, Randy.
All right. On that note, I'm just going to take that as the cue. Hey, tonight we're talking about the
No.
2024 Dungeons
We might.
and Dragons
We
Monster
might
Manual.
talk about the
Finally
2024
have it.
Monster Manual.
Yeah,
Please, can we?
don't you know how this works? We tend to talk for 5 minutes about the monster manual, and then we talk some random nonsense that will probably piss someone
It
off.
could be you.
Could be.
It is the year
Most likely
2025.
could be.
And in the year 2025, we have been gifted with the 2024 Monster Manual.
Mhm.
Finally, we did an episode a couple weeks ago where we previewed some of the things that we knew were coming in it.
Yes.
Talked a little bit about some of the YouTube content that was being produced about it. And now we are here to say that we have seen the book. We have feelings. We have things to say, some positives, some negatives. There's some interesting errata that we're going to get to in a minute. But yeah, it is here. So with this, the triplet of the 2024 5th edition rules are here. You could say 5.5 is complete. I'd rather say that than the 2024 5th edition rules are here. Takes
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I'm with you on that.
it's 5.5. Stop calling it 2024, please. I beg of you.
Yeah, WotC really needs to just lean into 5.5. Everyone would be so much happier.
Yeah, but until they change it, we have to keep calling it 2024 for the algorithm. So
Yeah.
thanks, WotC.
All right. So the monster manual, there's a lot of things in it. There's 85 plus new monsters. I don't have an exact count for you, unfortunately. I shouldn't say a lot of, every single monster I have looked at, every single one has had some changes made to them. Sometimes they're itty bitty, sometimes they're real small changes, but every single monster has been
when you say
updated
that,
from the 2014s.
do you include
There have
art in
been
that? Like if the only thing that changed was the art. Okay, so literally words on the page or numbers on the
No.
page have changed for every single. Okay.
words on the page. Yeah, like here, hang on. I'm going to open up my great big changelog article and find the creature with the least interesting change. Found it, pony. The pony, their hooves attack was changed from 2d4 plus 2 to 1d4
Ponies got
plus 2.
weaker?
That is all.
Have you ever
Why?
been hit by a pony?
I don't
I
know.
gave them less
They're
damage.
ponies.
Yeah,
It
they nerfed
sucks.
ponies. No.
So weird. Like some of the changes, and it's like, were people complaining that ponies were doing too much damage?
Maybe.
I don't
Honestly.
remember the last time I fought a pony, saw a pony, or rode a pony. Like
No, I remember
struggling to
my last pony fight.
remember when I ever. Came
I've never seen
across
one in 5th edition, but
I miss being able to summon cows. Just here's my wall of 16 cows. Good luck having an encounter, DM.
of an cow.
All right, so let's talk about some general design changes. I am still working on the Monster Manual changelog. I have taken a huge chunk out of this thing, but there are hundreds of monsters, so it's taking me a bit to get through. But as I go through this, I'm noticing design changes in the Monster Manual and in the way various abilities are being handled. So there are some pretty clear trends. A few things that were in the 2014 Monster Manual are just gone. Specific traits on creatures, echolocation, keen senses, sure-footed, and a handful of others. These were usually on animals primarily to distinguish them from other animals that otherwise might have basically an identical stat block. So these little, mostly there for flavor traits, they're just gone now. Keen senses, example, dogs had keen smell and hearing, so they got advantage on perception checks involving hearing and smell. That's gone. Now they just have proficiency in perception, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't feel super impactful.
Yeah.
I guess
it works.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it rarely came up anyway, so it's fine. I got no problem with that.
Let's see. Something more impactful that went away. Are you guys familiar with the false appearance?
I saw your notes on it, but I am not.
Yes. I love using false appearance.
Yeah.
False appearance is shared by a lot of different things, like specifically mimics is the big one.
Yeah.
Animated armor, all of that stuff. That when or piercer is another one. When that creature stays motionless, they are indistinguishable from a normal everyday object, which is good for surprise stuff. I guess the reason why they got rid of it is I'm sure some players complained that there was no way to detect these things, even if you were looking for them, because they're indistinguishable, which fair, I suppose, but I disagree with this change. I think it had its place, and if your players really had a problem with it, then you could allow them a perception or investigation check. But taking away default.
So let me ask. I have the text in front of me for how this is to read. False appearance. While the armor remains motionless, it is indistinguishable from a normal suit of armor. And so that would say to me, like, maybe you might, as a DM by fiat, say you could cast detect magic, and I will tell you this is actually animated armor. The other suits of armor are normal.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I did with false appearance, depending on the monster. Like, for instance, mimics aren't technically magical; they're just a creature. So using detect magic wouldn't reveal anything. Animated armor, yeah, I would allow that because that's they're essentially a construct made from magic. So that's one of the ways that you could detect it. Another thing would be like locate creature, stuff like that, or detect thoughts. For mimics, because mimics have thoughts.
Wait, there must be something trapped in this chest that's drooling at me.
I mean, there were ways around it. Yeah, I mean, there were ways around it, and especially with mimics, that was the whole thing with mimics.
Yeah,
like that's why they had such a notorious, but I would just argue, loved place in D&D. People love mimics, and I'm sure there are people that complained about it, but none of my players ever complained about mimics. I thought people were just like, crap, should have been more.
Let's look at animated armor a little bit. So this is gone, and there really, when you look at the stat block, there isn't anything that replaces this in animated armor. So there isn't a different line or an alternative description for ways you may or may not detect them. As I look at the text in animated objects more generally, I don't see that either. I have to say, I don't know that I would change my behavior. Like if somebody said they were specifically looking for something, I might give them some options for checking around. I would probably never let somebody's passive perception, no matter how high it is, detect a not moving animated armor unless they explicitly said, I'm a little bit worried about animated armor.
Yeah, I buy that. Like there may need to just be a happy medium somewhere, like make false appearance have a DC for an investigation check or something like that. I don't know. Like 10 plus.
That's not very high.
How about that? But yeah, something is lost. I don't know. CR goes up to 30.
Yeah, and if you're wondering how they changed Mimic to account for this, so Mimics now have proficiency in stealth, +5, woo, and shapeshift, which allows them to resemble a medium or small object while retaining its game statistics, or it returns to its true blob form. So people will argue, well, that's essentially the same thing. No, it is just like you're changing into that thing, but that doesn't say anything about it being indistinguishable. So if someone just perceives you and you don't roll high enough with stealth, it works the same as like a person trying to hide. So it's not the same thing. Which, I get why they did it, and Steph makes a very good point, which is mimics are great, just don't use them in a bad way. Which exactly, that's it. But I think the problem is we had a few bad DMs who were really bad about this, and we're just like, everything's a mimic now. Which don't do that.
Unless you happen to visit the Mimic Village, and that's on you.
Look, Tasha's colony had them. Yeah. They had that
in
Tasha's, the Mimic colony, where everything was a mimic.
I know, and that can be great, but like when you're just doing it to do like a gotcha over and over again, it doesn't have like a more cohesive, interesting hook or execute it poorly, then yeah, I get why people would be irritated by that. But it goes back to a little bit of an issue that I have with the 5.5 rules, which is that we're going to play to the lowest. Like if people even criticize it a bit, we're just going to get rid of it rather than just saying, hey, if your players don't like this, don't include it. Which, I mean, is a choice. It's not a choice that I necessarily agree with, but some people like it.
The gentlest way that I can interpret this is I don't know that this is actually going to change in a significant way how most folks handle animated armor or mimics. That's the argument I was trying to make a second ago. I think most DMs are not going to use passives to let you investigate it. And most DMs in the 2014 rules, hopefully we're letting you make some check. Like if I walk right up to a suit of armor and say, I think this might be animated armor, either you might succeed on a check or the thing's just going to swing on you.
And I get that. And, people who have run it this way and players who are used to it this way and don't have a problem with it, not going to be a problem for them. The only thing that I'm worried about is like newer players or players who are going to use this as a way to start arguments with the DM. You're like, well, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. I should be able to detect them. What are you doing? It's in the rules. That's why I have a problem. But the rules are there to support the DM in those arguments and be like, nope, it's in the book. We're going to stop talking about this. So they've removed that. Yeah. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
All right. Let's talk about how humanoids are handled, because the way that they're approaching humanoids in monster books has also changed. Yeah. So we've
try to be respectful about this.
All right. So we've had the non-playable races and species. Those have been in monster books since OD&D. Like goblins, hobgoblins, bugbears, orcs, kobolds, drow, etc., all in the monster books by default. And that has been that way up through the 2014 Monster Manual and all of the other monster books that we got in the 2014 5e timeframe. In the 2024 Monster Manual, we no longer have entries specifically for humanoids. We do still have goblins because they became Fae. We do still have Kenku because they became monstrosities, and we do still have Gith because they became aberrations. But we don't have orcs, drow,
also Sahuagin are
monstrosities.
Or Sahuagin monstrosities. Well, they're in there. They're their own thing. Let me see. Sahuagin, or what are they classified as? Fiend. Oh, weird.
Fiends? Okay. Really?
Yep. Gnolls are also fiends now.
Honestly, I thought they already were. That's on me, though.
Yeah,
I know I've gotten that one
I get. Merfolk. Merfolk are also in here. What did they get reclassified as?
Sahuagin are fiendish terrors that prey on creatures above and below the water.
That's a weird
sea
choice.
devils by the residents of coastal communities, mainly to justify us moving them into the fiend category.
Okay.
Huh. Quotoa are aberrations. Yeah, so like half of the historically monstrous humanoids are no longer humanoids.
Kobolds are dragons, which, yay, kobolds, you finally did it.
The most meta win of the entire book.
I'm sure kobolds everywhere are I'm sure kobolds are celebrating. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep this feedback respectful and not aggressive. So here's what I will say. I get why this change was made. I don't inherently disagree with why it was made. D&D is trying to avoid problematic tropes, and they don't want to monsterize or other species, which I get. And I understand that. I think this was not the way to do it because, like you said, we lost Duragar, which Duragar are just cool things to fight against. They get enlarged and all that stuff, and we don't have Duragar species, so Duragar just don't exist anymore, which sucks because I think they're cool. Orcs, I mean, that was the big thing everybody's been complaining about is orcs. Like, why are there no orcs in here? Again, I get why they did that. They're just like, just use one of the NPC stat blocks. Few issues that I have with this. So one, it makes any fight with a humanoid after a while exactly the same. Yeah. Because there's functionally no difference from an orc archmage and a dwarf archmage. So if you're fighting an orc or a dwarf archmage, after a while you'll be like, it's the same tactics. It's just an archmage. So, I mean, people are just like, well, I don't think there should be one stat block to represent all orcs. I'm like, valid. I agree. Yeah. I think a baseline orc stat block that's just like a bandit with maybe like rage. Yeah, I agree. That probably didn't need to be. But like there was some cool stuff like, the battle rager type of orc or the shaman orcs. Like, that was just cool flavor. And if you wanted to fix the problematic stuff, I get why WotC does this, but it's just the more safe option to be like, well, there's something that's problematic, so instead of trying to fix it and make it more sensitive in a way that's fun and interesting, or maybe, do away with alignment because alignment is problematic, why don't we just get rid of the thing entirely? Which, fine, that's a valid choice. I think it's a little bit of a cowardly one. And also, people are saying, well, they did this to be more sensitive. But the thing that contradicts that is that they did monsterize some of the humanoids. Goblins are monsters now.
Yeah.
They're not humanoids. They're fae. All right. Sahuagin or fiends. Like, I've had players play Sahuagin before, and now they're just all devilkin, which feels kind of dismissive. Also, lizard folk. Ooh, boy. If we're classifying them as elemental, that's a choice, I will say. That is a choice that I really don't like. Also, Githyanki as aberrations.
Yeah, that's weird.
I know Githyanki would have some major issues with being classified in the same category as their hated enemy. So they did dehumanize some races. They just didn't dehumanize the player character races. And the other thing is that this now functionally cuts out these options as future player species because they're not humanoids anymore. So you'll never get to play a Gith. You'll never get to play a goblin because they're not humanoids.
Well, we have centaurs and satyrs as playable races in the 2014 rules, and they're both fae.
Right, but I'm talking about the 2024 rules. I know it's backwards. I'm talking about going forward. I would say maybe they will, but I would say don't expect it unless they're very picky and choosy about which Gith are aberrations and which.
But I feel like, Tyler, the point you're making is that at least there is some precedent in 2014 that there were non-humanoid playable races. So maybe there's hope in 2024 we'll get non-humanoid playable species. Ash, the point you're making is you're kind of doubting it with this change. Like, why did you do that unless that was part of your intent? And I do think I buy that. I want to highlight, though, the announcement has been made. Monstrous Species is in the work. So even if you won't have first party, you'll have Tyler party.
Yeah. Go check out Tyler's stuff. He makes good stuff. But no, I think the difference there, Randall, is that satyrs and centaurs started out as, monstrosities or fae, and they weren't intended to be anything else. But then people were clamoring for those to be playable, so they made human. So I understand that more. These were humanoids that have now been reclassified as monstrous creatures. So I just don't. If they make a humanoid species from them, that's going to have a lot of questions. And the other major problem that people are having with this is it now makes certain spells that were really good, especially in the early game, functionally useless now.
Yeah.
Because, like hold person, charm person, you could do all of that stuff with goblins. And there's some really fun, I've had some really fun sessions where someone uses charm person on a goblin, and it's great. And you can't do that anymore because they're not humanoids. And probably even more problematic that someone online pointed out to me was, you can now planar binding goblins and bugbears and hobgoblins and make them your S word. So how is that better, WotC? How is that better?
So let's say, did they ever come out and say the reason they were making this change is because it literally, it does not make, like, if that is the argument, the argument doesn't make sense for all the reasons that you just went through, Ash. Like, I can't believe two people could sit at a table and say, let's do some work to be more inclusive to not other people. And the thing that you would come up with is what we have in front of us.
Yeah.
I think, look, I don't want to, I'm not going to sit here and try to suss out exactly what their intention was. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they made this change with good intentions, which I think they did, because that's what they've been doing, is they've been trying to deproblematize D&D, which is an admirable goal. I'm not going to sit here and tell them, don't make D&D woke. No, I'm in support of this decision. I mean, Paizo did it too with getting rid of alignment. Yeah, I support the goal. I don't support the execution. And I think it was they just didn't really think through the implications all that much. I think what they were trying to do was they were trying to have their cake and eat it too, which was they're like, well, everybody freaked out about how, there's a lot of discourse online about how orcs are really problematic. So let's just not make orcs a race, and maybe not Dwergar because they have darker skin.
No.
I don't think they even put drow in here either, did they?
No.
Oh, God, that's so upsetting. But yeah, so yeah, they just didn't want to do that. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. But I think they were just like, well, but goblins are a staple monster of D&D. Like they're the thing that everybody fights at the beginning. So can we still we want to make unique stat blocks for goblinoids. Yeah. So can we find a way to make this work? Like, what if they're fake creatures?
I need
like, hey, that works.
Monsters that can talk to me that I can stab. So. And I'd like it if they lived in a society.
Yeah. I think the way you fixed, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to fix it. But if that was the problem, I think, one, get rid of alignment. It's an outdated system. I don't think you need it. And that was the main problem people had with depictions of orcs, was that they were always chaotic evil.
Yeah.
So get rid of alignment and have individual stat blocks for other races. Like have some gnome stat blocks, have some elf stat blocks, so that people don't feel like you're just monsterizing the quote unquote bad races.
Yeah.
That was the main problem. So if you're a little bit more open about it, and you can still have these NPC stat blocks, but again, it makes all of the fights with humanoids the same now, just with different color paint, which, that's all I got to say. I'm done with the little rant.
So I want to call out one mechanical thing here as well. So the 2014 Dungeon Master's Guide has a table of stat adjustments that you can make to NPC stat blocks to make them reflect an individual race. So like dwarfs get dark vision and +2 constitution, so they'll have a little more hit points, dark vision. I can't remember if poison resistance was in there, but I'm pretty sure it was. It's like you could apply those minor stat changes and it would make an NPC feel like the race that they were supposed to be. We don't have a similar table for species in 2024. So yeah, Ash is absolutely right. Every NPC is exactly the same, defaults to human, and sure, you can call them whatever species you want, but it's just a palette swap.
Yeah, and I mean, if people want to, I think the implication is like if it's one of the playable species, you can just take like some of the features from the playable species and put it on there. That works. But what about Dwergar?
Yeah.
They don't have a species, so we can't really do anything for them. Are drow species in 2024? I can't remember.
Drow, yeah, they're a playable species in the player's handbook.
Cool. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
So Steph in the chat, pro to having an established setting, you could make a culture set of stat blocks. So that gives me an interesting thought. So we're getting the Forgotten Realms adventure guide later this year. It's entirely possible that we'll see like drow antagonist, Duergar like we'll see stat blocks for like a drow spider priest or a Duergar whatever they do, psionic warrior or something. I don't know.
I think what they'll probably do, I'm going to call my shot. If I'm wrong, I will take the L on this, that they're going to be like Menzo Baranzan Scout.
There you go.
Or, Menzo Baranzan Poisoner. They're not going to say drow. They'll be like, it can be any race. It's going to be drow. But that's how I see them, is like they're going to take like city or nation archetypes and have certain features. But I think like those inherent racial features, like the enlarge that Duergar get and the invisibility, I don't see those making a comeback.
It's the thing that you're describing would make sense, though. Like you have that poisoner, you give them all the features that you would give a drow. You call that poisoner evil and alignment. Like you get everything that you wanted mechanically. Yeah.
It's just you're not associating it with a race. Yeah. Which, that's a good middle ground. That's fine. I got no problem with that. I just want my Duergar back, man.
Yeah.
I love Duergar. I have such a soft spot for Duergar in my heart. They've always been one of my favorite races to play around with.
Cool. Well, let's keep talking about design changes.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the other big things I noticed. Have you ever?
All of them?
I'm going to try those words again so they come out good. Have you guys ever? I'm going to try. Have you guys ever been bitten by a snake?
Yeah.
Or a spider?
On my foot? It really
by a scorpion, etc.
You mean in real life? No.
No, God, no. Like
I've been stung by a bee. I've not been bitten by a snake. That would be horrifying.
Yeah. So in the 2014 rules, typically the way it worked is you would they would make an attack roll. If they passed your AC, you would take that initial damage, and then you would make a saving throw against poison or whatever else. In the 2024 Monster Manual, they've gotten rid of the follow-up save. So when you get hit by these attacks, they now just automatically work. to offset that, the effects have generally been nerfed to some degree. So like here, let me pull up the Mind Flayer real quick, because the Mind Flayer's tentacles are a great example of this. So in the 2014 rules, if you were hit by one of the Mind Flayer's stun effects, you would make a save and then be stunned, and it could last up to a minute, and you would get to make an additional save every turn. 2024, the 2024 Mind Flayer's tentacles, if the target is medium or smaller, it's grappled from all of the tentacles, and the target has the stunned condition until the grapple ends. Actually, that was a terrible example for me to pick. Let me find a better example. Just batting a million here. Ghouls. Ghouls are a good example.
Wait, why was that a better example?
Because you're stunned until the grapple ends, and there's no like...
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
That one arguably got worse because you don't get an automatic follow-up.
Yeah, no,
save.
that actually is worse. You're right.
Yeah. Okay. Ghouls, perfect. So ghoul hits you with their claw. Previously, you would make a call. Maybe I should just give up. Ghouls get a follow-up save.
Did you misremember some things?
No, see, I spent so much time looking at all of this stuff, and I was so sure I had it right.
It must succeed on a DC 10 Constitution saving throw or be paralyzed for a minute. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on success. Mm-hmm. What's the language in 2024?
You're paralyzed for a minute, and you make another save at the end of each turn.
So what Tyler was gonna say was, and I thought this was a change they made too, but maybe we're misremembering. Maybe it was errata that any stun conditions that they inflicted on you didn't get a save, but they only lasted a turn. Which, if that was in the monster manual, I would love that. I think that would be a great change, because incapacitation effects that just cut out a player's turn kind of suck, and especially when that person has to make a save that they're not very good at. So it sucks that it's not in here. I thought it was. I actually thought that was a really good change.
I apologize to Tyler in advance.
Wait. Actually, it isn't here. Ghoul. So they have to make a Constitution saving throw, DC 10. Failure, the target is the paralyzed condition until the end of its next turn, which previously it was a minute long, I believe.
Exactly. So that has been changed. My point was, in a lot of cases, the follow-up save is gone. So like I'm looking at Scorpion. I checked this time. Scorpion, in the 2014 rules, you would be stung for 1 piercing damage and then a Constitution save or take 1d8 poison damage. In the 2024 rules, you just take 1 piercing damage and 1d6 poison damage. So no additional save, a little less poison damage. So I think that's going to speed things up for a lot of those creatures.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I do want to compliment this book on is I like how they have the layout of the monsters is much better, because they put saves next to stats. And they've simplified the language on a lot of these things. Like, we don't need to explain what a spear does. We all know what a spear does. Just get to the damage, please. And so a lot of times, like a YouTuber actually pointed this out in the 2014 rules, some of the abilities would just be a wall of text. So you just glance over it and just get a sense of it, and then you go back and read it, and you realize you missed the last sentence, and it works differently than what you thought it did. I don't see that being as much of an issue in this book. And yeah, credit where it's due. The Ghoul is a solid change. Paralysis sucks for players.
Yeah.
So the fact that it only lasts a turn, good change. I like this change.
I will say the paralysis ends at the end of the target's next turn. So Ghoul attacks you, they hit you, you fail the save, you're paralyzed. The paralysis wears off before the Ghoul gets to attack you again. Part of the terror of fighting a Ghoul is if you're by yourself, they're going to paralyze you, and then they're going to crit you while you're paralyzed. That's now explicitly no longer an option because the paralysis wears off before they get another turn.
Well, I mean, the thought process here is that ghouls tend to come in packs, so
you never get each one, just one.
Other ghouls attack. So, actually, I mean, I get that. I get that point, and I realize it, but I don't remember last time I only had players fight a singular ghoul, and I actually support this decision to set up other ghouls to crit on you, because being crit on the thing that just paralyzed you and then being crit on all of this by all of his friends really sucks.
Yeah.
So I don't mind.
One more small observation on this, then we can move on.
Some feathers.
It was a DC 10 check. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I say the wrong word. It was a DC 10 save.
Yeah.
The odds of you failing aren't super high, depending.
I mean, especially if you follow our advice on the website at all, you should not be taking
the odds of you failing 2 before finally saving even lower. The odds of failing 3 before finally saving even lower. I say that to say it's a little interesting. It's going to take a little more time to do that save at the end of each of your turns. It's a little interesting that you have the terror of failing again and getting critted on, even if there's only one ghoul, when in reality, maybe it's only going to happen 4 out of 5 times or 9 out of 10 times. Like most of the time, Ash, the player's going to get the experience you want them to get, and that like, okay, that sucked for a round, but you're back up. And then, just occasionally things are going to suck.
Yeah, it creates a bad situation, but it's not a situation that potentially permanently takes a player out of the fight. Yeah. And also the other change, Randall, I want you to take a look at the 2014 ghoul and tell me what the difference is here. But ghouls now make 2 bite attacks as their multi-attack. So if they want a claw, they have to choose it, and they can only that's their only attack. So it's not always advantageous for them to claw you every turn. So you're not making save after save after save after save. It's like an intentional thing that you have to.
So the 2014 ghoul I also think did not have a multi-attack. So it was either bite or claws.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So you had +2 to hit with bite and 2d6 plus 2's 9, hit 9 overall. Now. Claws, more likely to hit, it's +4, but it deals less damage. So the idea being, I hit you, and if it comes around to the next turn and you're paralyzed, then I'm going to pivot to the bite, which, that's the action, right? I claw, then I bite, and then I keep biting because you're down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now it's going to be a claw to paralyze you. If you fail it, then all their buddies get in a bunch of bite attacks. The bite does less damage now. Actually, it does the same. It's just separated into some of it's piercing, some of it's necrotic damage now. So 1d6 piercing, 1d6 necrotic damage is fine. Anyway, let's move on. We've talked too much about this.
All right. Yeah, so those things have changed. All right, another big design change. So you remember resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing?
Yep.
Those are gone. Oh, well, that's fine.
Yeah, because no one ever used them.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about this. I mean, on the one hand, I agree. Nobody used this because realistically, everybody had a magic weapon. It was just a magic weapon tax. So I wish they had changed it so that it included magic weapon. I know that I'm probably in the minority here, but there's just certain creatures that it makes sense that, like werewolves and stuff like that, you need to find like specific weapon types. It made using specific weapon types on like ghosts or fey creatures or werewolves feel cool.
Yeah.
But realistically, that was never a part of 5th edition. I just hoped that they would. And they would take a cue from Pathfinder 2, which does do that.
Or even 3.5, literally borrow from your own game.
Yeah, or 3.5. Yeah. So, I know it's going to make a lot of people happy because, again, it was just a magic weapon tax.
People still like their +1 weapon.
It's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is going to functionally change nothing for 99% of players. I'm just saying, I think overall, it was a change that people wanted and were asking for, so I can support it.
More.
Me personally, I wish they had done, they had revamped it in some way. Yeah. Done more.
I would love to see creatures like lycanthropes should be vulnerable to damage from silver weapons.
Yeah.
Come on.
If you're not going to give them resistance to magic weapon damage, at least give them a vulnerability. Right now, the only real thing that has vulnerability is skeletons.
Yeah.
They really don't play around with vulnerability enough.
Yeah. Which is such a shame because that rock, paper, scissors element really does that's a fun mechanic. That's really fun in 3X. It's fun in PF2. It's disappointing that it basically doesn't exist in 5e.
I mean, especially if you're doing like a monster of the week thing, you can do a Witcher type of vibe. You got to find the right oil to attack this creature with. You got to research its weaknesses. You can't really do that in 5e. I didn't get that. That's not the kind of game they're going for.
Yeah.
And again, this is my own personal bias, and I realize that it's in the minority.
I love that you brought up the whole monster of the week, the Witcher thing. We're not ready to do it yet. In a few minutes, we're going to talk about the Archhag, and I'm very excited about that. Okay. All right.
Oh yeah, the Archhag's cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Like
well, let's talk a little bit before we get into monster, because I think people will be excited to talk about it. Let's talk a little bit about balance changes.
Okay, so I found this completely by accident right half an hour before we started recording. So there's a website called Blog of Holding. They famously published a thing a few years ago called the Monster Manual on an Index Card. and they boiled down the stat progression for every monster to a very, very simple formula by CR that you can fit onto an index card, and every creature is just like within 10% in either direction from that formula. And then you just decorate each creature with special abilities to make them interesting. So they published just today their follow-up article, the 2024 Monster Manual, on an index card, and it does a really good job highlighting the math changes. Monsters now do about 50% more damage than they did in 2014. And creatures of CR 21 and higher, their hit points and their damage output scale much faster than anything below CR 21. So like monsters are more dangerous if you base it at least on damage output.
Yeah. Another big change is that they increased HP for a lot of things and reduced AC, which I know is being received pretty positively in the community because people just like hitting things more. Again, this is another thing that I have mixed feelings about. It is how a lot of game developers handle power creep in games, which is just inflate the HP of monsters. And if the problem that I have with like inflated HP is it just, as we said before, it leads to shin kicking, which is not that fun. Like an example would be Mind Flayer Arcanist. They just full on doubled its HP. Like it was 71, it's now 143, which feels like a lot.
Yeah. Do you happen to know what happened to their
that's
AC?
like a boss fight. I believe it stayed the same. AC 16.
I have that one written down. Their AC increased from 15 to 16.
Okay, so even more.
Yeah, both versions of Mind Flayer got buffed. Like they're way more durable now.
I will say
before they were glass cannons.
Yeah, Mind Flayers are definitely the Mind Flayer.
Okay, that makes sense.
It was originally CR 8. It's now CR 11.
Wait,
the Mind Flayer base didn't change its CR, but its health went.
There's
from
another dimension. That's actually Tyler's
99.
fact checking, and he looks very befuzzled. So let's give him a second, and then I'll make my point.
I'm pretty sure I'm right about all of that, but
I'm double checking the CR change because
I recently ran Mind Flayers and Mind Flayer Arcanist from 2014, so I think I'm right about this.
Yeah, you're right. Those okay, they broke backwards compatibility. So by not changing the challenge rating of monsters, it meant that we could take old modules, drop in the new stat blocks, and be good to go. And that maintained backwards compatibility.
I mean,
as soon as the CR changes, that doesn't work anymore.
I mean, realistically, I didn't ever expect the monsters to be backwards compatible, because as someone who's running at least one game in the 2024 rules where I was previously running the 2014 rules, I will say the monsters feel very weak compared to the power that the players have now. Oh, and we'll get to this section in a minute, but there are some things that I think are missing here that I really hopes that they would address, especially when it comes to the power of players. So again, common way to deal with power creep in games is to just inflate HP, which is what it seems they've done, which is fine. But like, I was hoping for an answer, because we talked about weapon masteries in the PHP, and I talked about why I like the weapon masteries, but I also dislike some of them, especially the forced movement without a save was a really big sticking point for me. And there's no answer for that.
Yeah.
Even NPCs, I believe Randall made this point, like weapon masteries are okay because the NPCs will be using weapon masteries. No, the NPCs, even the humanoid stat blocks, they don't use weapon masteries at all. So it's just a player feature.
Although there is a line in the formatter saying like you're allowed to give characters gear and then modify their stat blocks to use gear. But basically what you're saying is I could go do the work to give them a weapon that has weapon mastery, assume that this NPC would have that weapon mastery, and then take the benefit of it in the combat. Like that's, I think DMs will do that. Novice DMs won't.
Yeah,
because they probably won't realize it's an option until they find a cool blog post about it.
Yeah.
I want to hit a thing right quick, and you alluded to it a second ago, Ash, but I really want to nail it down. So increasing the HP, especially while decreasing AC, which Tyler, I think you generally noticed a trend of doing that, means everybody's slightly more likely to hit. Therefore, the creatures will be taking more damage. Increasing the HP to make up for that might mean net over the course of combat. Players have more fun because they're hitting more often, but the creature still lasts about as long as they would have. And that all of that that story works in isolation, I think. And so as a design change, I think it does make sense to me where, like, I agree with what you said, Ash, like shin kicking sucks and I hate it. I would rather be in a shin kicking situation where we're at least they're not wearing shin guards and I'm getting through and I can tell they're in pain, over the shin kicking situation where they're wearing shin guards and 4 out of 5 hits are completely missing. I think sometimes that kind of combat can be fun, especially if it's an opportunity for I'm a wizard and I'm using saving throw type spells. And so I'm the only one getting through because the wizards never get to have enough fun. We all know that. If you're letting somebody shine in a situation, that kind of combat where nobody's getting through except for one person who has the magic that can do it is fun. So I don't necessarily object to this change. The third dimension I want to bring into this, though, is I think we recognized with the player's handbook that generally player characters are going to have more damage output. There's a lot of really sturdy options. There aren't a lot of options where you're not going to have the opportunity to deal damage, which I think is another good reason to increase HP, where I'd be willing to bet that if you sat down and you designed combat, or how should I say, level appropriate combat encounters, what we might find is that on average, parties are tending to end combat more quickly, even with the increased HP.
Yeah, I mean, that's been my experience, again, running 2 2024 games using 2014 monsters, is that the players are absolutely destroying them. So I have to inflate their HP. So it seems like, and again, I'm not criticizing them for doing that. Like Randall says, I think this was necessary and was needed. I just wanted a little bit more as an answer, especially to weapon masteries, because as Joshua says in the chat, so there's no monsters that have resistance to weapon masteries or immunity? No, not that we've seen. Maybe someone can point out, maybe we missed something, but we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And I agree, Joshua, it seems like an obvious choice to have some monsters with that kind of immunity, especially because the meta has now shifted to forced movement without a save. I can't
remember. If either of you remember, that's great. Otherwise, I'll look in the book and I'll get an answer right quick. At least for the weapon masteries that gave forced movement, were there size limitations?
No.
I'm going to look right quick. We can keep talking. If I find
don't remember there being a size limitation, no.
But one thing I've noticed while you're looking that up, one of my biggest annoyances, people are like, why is forced movement such a big thing? Area control is so important in D&D. Yeah. And it also means there are several creatures in here that grapple or automatic grapple, like the Mind Flayer, for instance, who has the whole tentacle thing that grapples, functionally worthless now. Because if one player has the thing that does the forced movement, you just need to hit them. Grapple doesn't affect your to hit. Yeah. You just need to hit them and the grapple is over. So it just makes those monsters weaker because now they can't do the one thing that they're good at. So that's just one small example. The other thing is, kicking them off a ledge or kicking them into hazardous objects. So again, I'm going to harp on this. I think if you're going to do forced movement, you got to give the monster a save. And I'm okay with it being a subclass feature because that feels awesome that you're able to play into that unique feature with monks and stuff like that. I got no problem with that. Making it so accessible that's a baseline weapon mastery that anybody who has access to it.
I do have an answer. Some sanity is restored to the world. Yeah. Push. If you hit a creature with this weapon, you can push the creature up to 10 feet straight away from yourself if it is large or smaller.
Okay. So at least you're not kicking around. At least you're not kicking around dragons. But
no, I do agree.
Flayers. This doesn't help mind flayers at all.
Kind of that question of is there immunity? I think these are the kinds of subtle things that DMs and players both are going to have to make sure they keep in mind. Because I can imagine getting halfway through a campaign, letting people push everything, and then somebody noticing this language. But Topple was another one where hey, I can knock you prone. There, they get a Constitution saving throw.
Yeah, and Topple I don't have a problem with because it gives you a saving throw. The push is the main one that I have an issue with. I like the other weapon masteries. I really don't like push. I think it was a mistake to put it in there, just being honest.
But at least with that limit, it's still not perfect. I understand all the reasons, the issue that you have with it. It would have been insane if you could push a gargantuan creature 10 feet.
Yeah,
a little.
No. Yeah. I mean, people complained about the Warlock feature that allows people to knock a creature back with Eldritch Blast.
Now everybody has it.
I have a problem with that, especially since, again, no save, no size limitation. I mean, now everybody has it. And the thing is just if it was once a turn, I could find a way to be okay with it. But again, and this was the issue with the Eldritch Blast thing, you can do it up to 3 times a turn.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. You can push someone 30 feet, no countermeasure, no save. You just have to hit. And now that ACs are lower, you're probably going to hit. So,
okay, I will say, so
I really wish they had an answer for this.
Is a weapon that has the Topple weapon mastery. When we get Dragon Lances, I want to be able to push Oh, no, it's helpful. It's not push. Never mind. I want a Dragonlance to let me push a dragon around. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could topple a dragon.
Well, I mean, you can topple a dragon, so hey, there
that
you
is
go.
cool. That's actually fun. Never mind. Good job, Watsy. Don't do what I did. Do it
Again. Yeah. Yeah, no, and I don't want this to come across as Ash being a hater. Again, I like the concept of weapon masteries. I think they're a good idea. It's just the push one that I have the problem with.
Yeah.
It's literally, especially when you combine it with the one that reduces people's speed. That one also I have a bit of a problem with. Not as much of a problem as the push one. Any sort of movement where they don't get a save, I've just never been a big fan of those. It's the same issue I have with things that just automatically stun you.
Slow doesn't
and you don't
stack,
get to save against
which
them.
I think is the important thing they did there. So, unless the thing only has 10 feet of movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But man, I really wish they put a save on push. Anyway, I'm being a dead horse. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's do it.
So can we talk about some of the cool new monsters?
Yeah. Wait, before we get to that, should we talk about some of the stuff that they said they were going to put in, but they didn't? Or should we save that till after? Because I think maybe we should get the negative stuff out of the way first, and then talk about some of about stuff that we really liked.
I think at the end of the episode, it's like, now that we've aired grievances, we've done Festivus for the rest of us. Now.
Yeah, because, I've been told by some of my players that sometimes I can sound like a downer when I'm reviewing WotC. I don't hate this book. I think there's some good stuff in here. So one of the major things that is omitted from here that they promised, and this is just frustrating. They've done this with every of the books they've done. They promise a big feature that sounds really cool, and then they just don't include it. So with PHB, it was in-depth crafting mechanics, which weren't there.
Yeah.
DMG, what was the thing that they promised in the DMG? I'm trying to remember. Oh, the
monster creation rules.
No, monster creation rules and item prices.
Yeah.
They gave us that index card for item prices that really pissed Randall off.
Yeah, me too.
And they were basically talking about reskinning monsters, which is like, if this is how you guys are designing monsters, I have questions.
Yeah.
And so the big one they did here was they promised to have a section on how to utilize and differentiate different CR, and like sort of like a key thumb, and like how to run a creature according to a CR effectively.
Yeah.
That is just not in here at all.
Yeah. Not even an attempt.
Functionally not there. Not even a little bit. Like, at least for the others, they attempted. Like, yeah, okay, if you squint, the crafting rules are there, but it's basically just Xanathars. Yeah, they technically put in item prices, and they technically put in monster creation rules. They didn't even attempt with this. So it's just like, why did you guys say that? I don't understand why you guys are just straight up lying to us. That's really not cool. Please stop doing that.
Yeah, there's so much in these books to be excited about. Why?
Yeah. Why would you lie? I just don't get it. I don't understand. It's just like, it puts a sour taste in my mouth. It's like, Watts, you did a good job here. The art here is awesome. Some of the changes are really good.
Yeah.
But you did this when you really, it's sort of like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of any Peter Molyneux game for those gamers. Like, he did Fable and Black and White and all that stuff. And Peter Molyneux is notorious for promising the moon and really under-delivering. Don't be Peter Molyneux. Nobody likes that guy. Okay? Don't do that. Just sell the book with what it is. You don't need to tell us stuff that you didn't put in.
Yeah.
The other thing that they promised was, and this is just a personal gripe for me. Again, I am a person who likes to run humanoid creatures, so I have a bit of an issue with the humanoid changes. But the biggest one I had was they promised us, higher level versions of certain NPCs, and they kind of have that. But I was really hoping that they would be able to have like a conversion table that would be like, okay, take this, apply this to increase its like CR. Sort of like what Pathfinder 2 does with the elite and weak adjustments, which I think is a really elegant, cool system. They didn't do that. And the other thing I was hoping for was we would get, like 20th level CR NPCs, because there's like none of those in 24.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for 30th level. Fine. But come on, give me something for endgame. The highest, I looked this up, the highest CR a humanoid creature goes is 12.
Archmage?
Which is, no, Questing Knight.
Really?
Archmage actually went down.
That doesn't surprise me.
From in CR. I think Archmage is now CR 11. No. It's still CR 12. My bad.
Okay.
But yeah, that's functionally unchanged from the 2014 Monster Manual. I think that that was where they capped out in the 2014 Monster Manual too. So that's really disappointing. And, some people were saying, well, they have higher level versions of like Guard. Yeah, they have Guard and Guard Captain. That's not a change. That's kind. I mean, they did something similar with the 2014 rules where they had, Bandit, Bandit Lord, Bandit Captain. So it's although they're called Toughs now, which okay,
sure, yeah. So there's better CR coverage within the range that humanoids cover, but the ceiling on CR for humanoids has not been raised.
Yeah, and that's what I was really hoping for. So yeah, they partially did that, which was that they closed that gap because realistically it was like it capped at CR3 and then it jumped up to like CR8 and all of that stuff in between. There was barely anything. So I'll give them props for that. Again, I'm looking at the list here. There's 45 humanoid monsters. Personally, I don't think that's enough. I just don't.
Get more books.
We will, and I hope, please, WotC, please add higher level NPCs.
Yeah, I want a CR15 Wizard of Legend.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. Or just like a really powerful fighter who's 20th level, a paladin. Give me a 20th level CR, 20 CR paladin.
The best
that would be dope.
Yeah,
but
they were.
Death Knight isn't a humanoid. It's undead.
It's close.
Yeah. It's close. I mean, you can
retired humanoid.
Yeah, you can reskin it to be a humanoid. But again, I don't know. I realized that
I think it's also Tyler's personal gripe.
I was just hoping for a little bit more. Yeah. Anyway, that was the stuff that I noticed that they promised that wasn't included in here.
I want to be very clear. I think I basically agree with everything you said. The call out that we were promised more guidance on how to run monsters and it was underdelivered. I think the only thing I could see that this is what they were talking about when they gave us is we do now have specified a habitat for wherever these creatures live. We're given better guidance if they would be.
Yeah.
So there's a gear section and a treasure section where gear is I don't want to say mundane stuff they use, but more or less mundane stuff they use. And treasure is things that they probably are collecting or hoarding or going to be nearby. And so you'll be able to pick them up. It's go roll on a table. And the narrative description that I feel like we more or less always had, that isn't Keith Amon level. The monsters know what they're doing. It isn't even 1% of it. It's good. It just isn't the thing I was hoping for. It isn't the thing that I was being super optimistic about when we're talking about what was going to be in the book. So I was wrong.
Yeah, I was really excited about it when we were talking about the CR guidance because that's a great resource. Keith Amon's book is really good, and if you haven't picked it up, go take a look at it. It's obsolete now if you're playing the 2024 rules, but I think there's some stuff that does translate. He's definitely going to do another, obviously, because all of those books have sold really well. So yeah, I was hoping for a bit more guidance so that would be more accessible to everybody. Again, it's just a weird thing to lie about.
Yeah,
it's it's almost comical at this point. It's why? Why did you do that? I don't understand. What was the point of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well,
now that we've got the bad stuff out of the way, let's talk about some of the stuff.
No. I don't.
I
refuse. We are not ready to talk about the things that we like, the things we're super excited about. Let's first talk about some silly things, and then we really will end with the high notes. So let's do some silly things. First of all, this book became available, as best as I could tell, 7 days ago. Is that accurate? Yeah. When did it actually become available to us to look
7 days ago?
It practically doesn't matter for the point about me. We already have
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, they had errata the day that it released, earliest access on D&D Beyond. Day zero.
One, Tyler, I don't know if you noticed this yourself or if you found other people noticing it, but tell us about the Carrion Crawler.
Okay, Carrion Crawler. It has an action called Paralyzing Tentacles. It tickles you with its tentacles. You make a dexterity save. If you fail, you're paralyzed. If you're paralyzed for a full minute, but it's okay because you get to make another save.
What's the problem?
At the end of each of your turns. Being paralyzed means that you automatically fail all dexterity saves, which means you look at your DM and your DM says, "Hey, make me another dexterity save." You fail. I don't care what you rolled. What? Why? Also, why is it a dexterity save?
What? Poison out of my body.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Okay. All right. Good. Silly stuff out of the way. Let's talk about monsters we liked. Tyler, Do the exclamation again.
Yeah. They fixed the Tarask. I'm excited.
Yeah, I didn't notice any changes to Zarask. So what did they change?
Oh God, buddy, they changed everything.
Well, I didn't compare them side to side. I was just looking at the stat block. I'm like, I don't know.
Its speed went from 40 feet to 60 feet. It's got a burrow speed. It's got a climb speed. It's got legendary actions that let it move its speed and then attack. It has a roar that's a 120-foot cone that does over 70 thunder damage.
150-foot cone.
150, yeah. You could bring an army to fight the Trask, and it could go meh, and your entire army is dust.
Okay, fair enough. Those are some good changes. Yeah,
it's cool. It's real cool. I'm so excited. It doesn't have regeneration though. They missed. So close. Yeah, it needs regeneration. It has always had regeneration as long as the Tarask has existed.
I'm adding it back in.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Give that guy 50 regeneration and knock off 100 hit points and call it good.
Reflect. I was about to ask you the question, is there anything for a wizard on a magic carpet? Reflective Carapace. If the Tarask is targeted by a magic missile spell or a spell that requires a ranged attack roll 1d6. On 1 through 5, the Tarask is unaffected. So already, wow. On a 6, the Tarask is unaffected and reflects the spell, turning the caster into the target.
Was it already like that? I know it had reflective.
I thought that was the way that you...
Yeah.
Wait, so what was the cheese?
Yeah, no, it's...
okay.
Sacred Flame was...
Wait, no. It did change a little bit.
Did it?
It no longer affects line spells.
Really?
Previously, it specified that a magic missile spell, a line spell, or a spell that requires so they actually nerfed it.
Okay, or I guess if a ranger was sitting on the magic carpet shooting arrows, they'd be in good shape. Okay.
Yeah.
It's specifically magic attacks, which, again, while that is cool, there's not a lot of spells that require ranged attack rolls, so functionally you're just not going to cast those and you'll be fine. I wish line magic was still in here, fire a lightning bolt, but it's fine. Overall, solid improvement. I still think it's takeable.
Yeah.
but definitely scarier, which is good. I like that they get Thunderous Bellow. You were so close. Just give it a radioactive beam.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Let's just go Godzilla. Just
make it radiant damage.
Yeah, just make it radiant damage. Oh, so before we go any deeper into our favorite monsters, one thing I really want to shout out. Oh my God, is the art incredible in this book?
Yeah, it's real good.
All of the art in this book is some of my favorite that they've ever put out in D&D. It's really, really good. And it makes all of the monsters feel more unique. Whereas before they felt, I don't know, kind of boring. The Mind Flayer art is really boring in the original. But they differentiate more between the different types of Mind Flayers. Also, the art for the Mind Flayer Arcanist, just straight up the Emperor from Baldur's Gate 3. Which is fantastic. I love that so much. But yeah, the art is fantastic. Well done on that front.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the Archhag. Okay, so I think we got, this is one of the new hags that's available to us. A CR21 large Fae. They say that Baba Yaga is a good example.
Oh, they're large?
Baba Yaga is a specific instance of a large of an Archhag, and the lore that they give for this of how to drive the character really sets it up to be an amazing either end of arc or end of campaign creature. And so, Ash, I wanted to come back to what you were calling out. Every Archhag has an anathema. There's a 1d10 table, but I think, of course, you could feel comfortable making your own if you wanted to. They have a trait, the Spiteful Escape. When the hag drops to 0 hit points, it only dies if its anathema is within 30 feet of it.
I do think some of these anathemas are worth calling out because they're very creative. Bones of the Archhag's First Love. That's pretty classic, and I really kind of love that. The Multiverse's Worst Pun.
How do you? Even imagine how do you carry that with you? Quick, I can't think. Give me your favorite pun. Doesn't have to be a bad pun. Somebody in the chat, quick! I'm panicking. I can't remember a pun.
I'm not good at coming up with puns.
What's the worst part of Dogwood?
How do you bring that into the room to have it within 30 feet of the Archhag? Do you literally...
The bard has to repeat it over
what if you literally have to bring the tree into the... But even that, and letting the players have fun figuring out how they're going to fulfill that. That's what... the joke has to be written down on parchment paper made from dogwood. Or worse, written on the inside of the bark.
Perfect.
Then we got
There you go.
some really hard to achieve anathemas, which I like. A flower that blooms only when time stops. Wow.
Jeez.
Snow from the top of Mount Celestia. So we were just saying, why would we ever go to Celestia? Well, here you go.
Yeah.
A star pulled from the sky. What? And probably the one that you definitely don't ever want to have to get. A thread from the Lady of Pain's robes.
Here's what I say.
Good luck.
The thread from Lady of Pain's robes. She's the original owner. We can all agree with that. You never want to be the second owner, but if you can come by that third or fourth hand, it's fine. But these are fun. This is cool.
Yeah,
where
all right.
not only I'm gonna go to battle, I'm gonna fight the Archhag, but I'm gonna have to do my research because probably what's gonna happen is I'm gonna fight it the first time. Maybe I lose a player character. Maybe it comes real close and we manage to save them. But I get her down to 0 and we're all thinking campaign over. And then all of a sudden, evidence arises that she's still alive. And now you have to learn this secret, do the MacGuffin quest, and fight her again.
Yep.
Yeah. They get some cool stuff as well, like Tongue Twister, which is a special counterspell that they get. So if the target fails the counterspell, they just start talking in tongue twisters, so they can't.
And whenever they speak, they say the opposite of what they mean.
It's cool. I like that.
Somebody kill me! Somebody kill me!
Yeah. It's just the opposite of what it means. Yeah, somebody kill me! I want to die! I want to die! Kill me! Kill me! Please! God, I love that. Yeah, so she's functionally impossible to kill unless you bring her within her anathema. Like, it's not even as sort of like she becomes a vulnerable state like a vampire. No, she just teleports away instantly and there's no way to stop it.
Yep.
So, yeah. Very cool. I do like this because, hags stopped being a thing after like maybe 7th level.
Yeah.
So it's nice that we have. I mean, you could just take this as is and give it to Baba Yaga. Maybe give her the coven magic. She's her own coven. She doesn't.
Which, of course, like the traditional coven magic, this does have. So it is set up that you could have 3 witches, and maybe you want to figure out how to separate them to fight them because you don't want to fight them.
Can you imagine fighting 3?
The goal would be to kill one as quickly as possible just to get them off the plane. Because when they go to 0, if their anathema isn't present, they at least go off the plane. This brings up an idea I've always had for creatures like this: is there should be an enrage mechanic where when one of them dies, they immediately go into rage mode and start they get bonuses to damage. That is pretty cool.
That. I just think that's fun.
There's one other cool mechanical thing I want to call out here. So their multi-attack is 2 Spectral Claws plus Crackling Wave. Crackling Wave has the, it has the failure or success. We didn't call that out specifically. I think it's going to be very intuitive to people. Effects from spells like Rider effects will be very clear. What happens on success, what happens on failure, and occasionally you'll see success or failure. And they're basically telling you, no matter what, this happens. So no matter what with Crackling Wave, target who is hit with the initial attack is cursed until the end of the hag's next turn. Every turn, the only bonus action that the hag has is Witch Strike. Each creature cursed by the hag and within 60 feet of it takes 4d6 lightning damage.
Yeah. No, I love the sort of creating a meta currency and then using that meta currency for monsters. So she really she's got several different ways to curse people and exploit that curse. I wish they gave her the Doe curse as well. Feels like an
appropriate.
oversight.
Yeah.
Oh, also, this is brutal. As a legendary action, she can cast Hypnotic Pattern and Dimension Door, which is brutal.
Yeah.
God.
Jeez.
So good. Well, she can only take that once per round. Yeah. But still, it's very good.
Yeah. This is a really cool monster. And we're going to talk about a couple other monsters, I think. But at a high level, I guess I want to call out, I didn't really appreciate till I got my hands on this book. Mechanics are obviously impactful. We talked about the player's handbook. We talked about the DMG. There's a lot of things that are absolutely going to shape the experience people have playing this game. Weapon mastery is probably the biggest change for player characters that we have, apart from, of course, the actual changes to the characters. But it's a new system. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I didn't really appreciate till I got my hands on this book. Let's face it, most of the experience of the game is driven by the monsters that we play. And so with the changes that we're having here, the game is going to feel very much like a different game.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, the Monster Manual is probably the most important book. I mean, obviously the PHP helps you run the game, but the Monster and XP to level 3 said something similar on his video, which is that I use the Monster Manual the most out of any book. because when I'm stuck on, like, when I'm blanking on ideas, I just go through the monster manual and find something that seems cool. I'm like, ooh, I can build an adventure around this monster. So, like, with this arch hag, I'm definitely going to put this into Ravenloft. Spoiler alert for my Ravenloft players. Like, I mean, yeah, mechanics are important. And when people have asked me before, like, why do you have a problem with DM Fiat so much? The reason I have a problem with it is, like, yeah, you can create your own stuff, and that's not represented by certain mechanics and rule things a certain way, but the mechanics that the game gives you are just so important for inspiration for DMs, because we have some creative people out there. I have a limit on my creativity. I'm not ashamed to admit that. So sometimes I'll be like, oh wow, that's a really cool feature that I didn't think of. Like this tongue twister thing, or the anathema stuff. That's really cool. And I wouldn't have come up with that myself. So I'm big enough to admit that I'm not that creative. So yeah, Randall's right. Mechanics are so important, which is why I've always gravitated more to Pathfinder 2 than D&D, because I can homebrew stuff. I prefer to have mechanics for things because it's just more fun that way. Now, going back to some stuff that we liked, I love the way they did dragons. I think all of the dragons feel different now. They all have something really cool they can do.
Yeah.
I'm still salty about green dragons. I think green dragons could have shape changed and it wouldn't have hurt anything, but it's fine. It's fine. I realize that I'm alone on my hill, but it's a hill that I'm going to die on. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like in this book. Like, I know we complained a lot, but I think that this book is well done. There are a few things that I would have liked to be done differently. The biggest gripe for me, the two biggest ones, are the humanoid changes and the fact that there's no answer for the weapon masteries. Other than that, I think if you were looking for a good book that has a lot of monsters, I think this is a perfectly valuable pickup. Ignore the DMG. DMG's not really worth it. Just get the PhD and the monster manual. That's all you need. You don't need the DMG.
I think I agree with all of that, basically. Like, the monster manual made a lot of really great improvements. The individual changes to a lot of the monsters are really fun. I'm really excited to, I famously have an encyclopedic knowledge of monsters in D&D, and it's always exciting to see new things that I don't understand yet, because it means new surprises and new adventures that I haven't gotten to have before. So I am excited to see this in play. There were some definite misses. There were some promises that were not kept, but overall, I think this is a good book. I think if WotC had just said, look, we're not going to tell you what's in it until we just hand you demo stat blocks, I think everyone would have been thrilled. I think the biggest mistake they made with this book is in marketing.
That's a good point, Joshua. I think, as Joshua says, as a new DM, I find the new DMG way more useful than the old one. Absolutely. I think the DMG is an improvement over the previous one, for sure. And especially if you're a new DM, then I would encourage you to get the DMG, because there's some good advice in there. But if you're someone who's been running since 2014,
it'll be a little bit frustrating when you go to look for a particular table because you're going to roll on a treasure table and you have to go to the old, not the new. But if you're being frugal, the new player's handbook, the new monster manual, 100%, you can't go without.
And to add on to what Tyler said, when I first went into this and saw the changes that I didn't like and the promises that weren't kept, my initial visceral reaction was kind of like how Randall felt about the DMG. I was like, I hate this book. This is my least favorite of the books that they put out. This book is garbage. But, the more I read through it and the more I saw some of the changes, I was like, actually, this is pretty cool. Damn it, this is really good. I do like this. So again, credit where credit is due. I think this is overall a well done book. There were a few missteps that I hope that they address in future editions, but who knows? If you want a number, I hate number ratings, but I would give this book a solid 7 out of 10.
That feels fair.
Which is not a bad score.
No.
It's an above average score. If you want to know my opinions on the DMG, I would give that a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
It's not
you guys are talking like you want to end the episode. I want to talk about one more creature. Okay. It is the Blob of Annihilation. How did you know?
Is it the Blob of Annihilation?
I'm actually sincerely surprised that I did not stick this in the
Blob of Annihilation.
Okay. This
I have the stat block open. It's so cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna. So some of the monsters have like
Yeah.
quotes. So this is from, and butcher me if I pronounce this wrong. V, the artificer of Eberron, is a V or Vi? Do you know? Good. Then I'm not an idiot. Let's keep going.
I don't know.
Oh, speaking of the quotes, just real quick, Asterian's in this. Asterian from
Nice.
Baldur's Gate
That's
3
pretty awesome.
has a quote in the DMG. It's cool.
Awesome.
Or not in the DMG.
Yeah,
Well,
and Dan, pardon the work that I'm about to make you do. Honey, I've seen horrors that would make you shut your drawers and reach for the nearest drink. And then there's the blob of annihilation. If you see it, run. And if you can't get away from it, just hope you dissolve fast.
Okay, real quick, scroll to the bottom of the stat block and just read the names of the legendary
Okay, so I've
actions, 'cause
got-
they're adorable.
Decay, grasping glob, latching goop. Latching
Yeah.
goop is cute.
The blob
Yeah.
makes one pseudopod attack. Yeah. Okay. So similar to the Archhag table, the blob of annihilation contents. There's a 1d10 table for the super valuable thing that you can retrieve from the blob if it's in there and if you can kill it. A deck of many things. The remains of a half-kraken. The skull of a death god. A magic key that opens a door in Sigil that no other key and no spell can open. Yeah. If you wanted to just do like
That's cool.
The preserved corpse of an Empyrean. Ooh.
Number 10, a Tarask. A Tarask, not the Tarask.
Yeah,
Very important.
that
A
just
Tarask
died.
that just died.
Yeah.
Which raises so
20.
many questions.
What CR is this? 23.
23.
And it
So
killed
you know
a Tarask.
it didn't kill the Tarask. What did?
Uh,
Where is that?
Now I want an epic
yeah,
fight
that's
between
the
a blob of
Kong versus
annihilation
Godzilla
and
that we've
Tarask,
all been
please.
craving. The art for this thing is awesome. Imagine like a farming village. Like what do you call this architecture? Yeah,
It's the blob that ate everything. Just imagine that.
It's a medieval village being devoured by a purple blob with a giant floating skull
Yeah.
in it.
it is
It's dope.
absolutely
the art
awesome.
is dope. Yes.
So yeah, I like it a lot, and I wanted to highlight it. All right, that's our show for the night. We do have a question of the week this week.
Yeah.
Our question of the week comes to us from Dave Shep on Twitter. Is it worth swapping an existing homebrew 5e campaign to 5.5 or whatever we're calling it? We're calling it 5.5. You nailed it, Dave Shep. Right on. And if so, tips on how. I'm going to go first because I'm going to give the dumbest answer. Ready? If you're going to let your players somehow magically turn their 2014 rules characters into 5.5 characters at whatever level they're at, then I think yes, because unless you're homebrewing every monster, like if you're homebrewing every monster, great. You're going to have to make your combat more difficult in order for this to make fun. So whatever your mental model is, you need to up it. The guidance that Tyler called out earlier of like, hey, look, they're going to have 50% more damage output in your book. You're probably going to want to do that with your homebrew monsters. If you're not homebrewing monsters and you're pulling them out of the monster manual, you're trying to use the CR guidance, you're going to want to use the newer monsters to build encounters that are challenging for your players. Otherwise, everything's going to turn into a complete pushover. And then finally, if you let them adopt the new players, you obviously have to engage in the new mechanics. You need to bring in the weapon masteries because, again, otherwise, like you're not going to not let them use it. And you're not going to give them the interesting weapons that have these rules. So that would be my thing, is only if the players want to change their characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. As someone who has now transitioned 2 different campaigns from 2014 to 2024 because my players asked for it, it's a player first sort of thing. So if the players want it, then find a way to make it work. And it also comes down to, like Randall said, it depends on how much you're homebrewing. So if you're homebrewing a lot of systems and monsters and stuff like that, it's going to be kind of a nightmare for you to balance everything in 5.5. So I would say maybe don't do that. But if you're just like homebrewing an occasional monster here or there, then I think you're fine. And yeah, Randall's right. Now that we have the monster manual, you should really be using the monsters out of here, because I've been running Planescape. It was 2014, and now we're using the 2024 rules, and everything has been kind of a cakewalk comparatively. I mean, my players will disagree with me, but that's because I went to Cobalt Press and got some monsters out of there and beefed the hell out of them to keep up with the power that the players have. Granted, I did give one of the players the Axe of the Dwarvish Lord, so that's on me. But he does like 30 damage on a single attack every turn, so it's ridiculous. But I don't regret that. # no regrets. But yeah, so you're gonna have to balance around weapon masteries welcome to the struggle. And yeah, just ask your players, because I do have at least one game that I'm running. Whereas the players, do you want to play this 2024 or 2014? They were like, absolutely not 2024. I was like, all right, then we're doing 2014. So just, especially if you're transitioning in the middle of the game, it's going to be kind of a transition. So another thing that I suggested with my players is I had them make two versions of the character, 2024 and then 2014. So we tried the 2024 and we're like, said we're going to do a few sessions of that. And then I'm going to check in with you guys and say, do we like this or do we not? And the other thing I would caution you is, even though it's backwards compatible, I would say go all in. Don't pick and choose, because it's just going to be more of a nightmare.
I think I agree with all of that. Yeah, like it's nominally backwards compatible, but they've broken enough stuff that realistically it's just not.
It really isn't.
If you're running a published campaign, I would say definitely just finish the campaign and then make the transition. But Dave Shep, sounds like you're running homebrew. So yeah, all of Ash's advice applies. Talk to your players, go all in on the new edition. And if you use anything from the previous edition, be prepared to buff it.
Yeah, don't play the previous adventures with the 2024 rules. I know it's tempting. Don't do it unless you know what you're doing. Because, yeah, again, with the Planescape game, I've had to... Most of the encounters I've been running with players are just not in the book. I have made them up. So, yeah, but that is... I wouldn't recommend that for inexperienced DMs. If you just want to run the thing as written, stick with the 2014 rules.
All hail the Leisure Illuminati. Hail.
Hail.
I'm Randall James.
Hail.
You'll find me at amateurjack.com. You'll also find me in Blue Sky at Grimoire RPG. I published a novella, Melanson. There's a link in the show notes.
I think Randall might be sleepy. I'm Tyler Campster. You'll find me at RPGBOT.net. Blue Sky, RPGBOT.net, TikTok, RPGBOT.net, whatever social platform you're on, I'm probably there. Search for RPGBot. Look for the robot head. I'm there.
And I'm Ash Eli Reginald III. If you want to hear more about my exploits in hunting down megafauna, you can find me over on Twitter, that cesspool of a place, at Graven Ashes, or on Blue Sky, also at Graven Ashes. Out of character. I've been posting recaps of my paid sessions, taking inspiration from Tyler. It's been fun. I've been enjoying that, and people seem to be liking that, so feel free to hop in there and just, if you like a good story of craziness, they're fun. Also, you can find me on startplaying.games if you want me to run a game for you, link in the description. I just got enough players to run my Season of Ghost game. So we're doing our session 0 on Thursday, but I still have 2 slots available. So if you want them, act fast, because they're probably going to go soon.
Yeah, that's fantastic news. I'm actually, that campaign sounds amazing. We're not going to do any spoilers here, because if you're listening, you might want to do it. But
it's probably my favorite AP that Paizo's ever put out.
It sounds really cool. Like I would love to have that experience. If only I had the time. Okay.
Yeah. But I can't. But you never will, because
2 years from now, I'll never remember.
This is true.
But just to sell it a little bit more, because I want players to play this, because I am so excited to run this campaign. I am more excited to run this campaign than I have been any other game. The twist for it is awesome and so cool. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but if you like mysteries and you like horror, it's going to be so much fun. And you like non-Western style fantasy, come join us. And when I say Thursday, I know this podcast is going to come out in a few weeks. So the session 0 is coming out the 13th of February. So odds are this is many weeks after that, but there'll probably still be slots available. Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see.
Now is the time where I do the shtick. So I'm going to start the shtick right now. The first part of the shtick that I want to share, all of your favorite content creators, the number one thing that you can do is tell your friends about your favorite content creators. Share the experiences you've had. Odds are you have like-minded friends who enjoy the same kind of content. That helps them grow. The other thing you could do is tell strangers about it. The best way to tell strangers about it, rate and review the content you consume. You could do that with my novella if you've read it. It would be a tremendous thing for me. If you played in Ash's games, you could do that for Ash. Doing it for this podcast would help grow this podcast. Second thing I'll say, support your friendly local game store, but if they don't have the content that you are looking for, we have affiliate links in the show notes. You can also find affiliate links on RPGBOT.net. Following those affiliate links does help support this podcast, help us to continue to make this show every week. So we do appreciate it. If your question should be the question of the week next week, email podcast@rpgbot.net or Blue Sky at rpgbot.net. But like with a period, because you've heard me for 4 years now do the DOT, NET, none of that anymore. RPGBot.net. Okay. Lastly, you can also support us on Patreon. We really appreciate that. There's all kinds of great rewards, many tiers available to you. At any tier you join, you'll get early access to RPGBot content and polls for future content. At our $3 tiers, you'll get your choice of ad-free access to RPGBot.net or ad-free podcast episodes and access to live stream podcast recordings like this one. You could be in the audience right now, cracking jokes, having us, like, for no reason, laughing the internet, sound like crazy people. Okay. At our $5 tiers, you'll get all of that, plus access to RPGBOT.Discord, and you can find us at patreon.com/RPGBot. Finally, the RPGBot.Store is a real thing. You probably see people in the wild here and there, occasionally wearing RPGBot.T-shirts. Probably they got them from the RPGBot.Store, although occasionally Tyler is known to hand those things out at cons. If you would like to keep in touch with what's happening at RPGBot, we suggest the RPGBot.Newsletter. You can find it at RPGBot.net/newsletter. Also, you can get stickers on the store. Please don't vandalize things.
We appreciate not vandalism.
I feel like since you started ad-libbing the outro, it's gotten way longer.
Look, I wrote a very tight, very dry outro.
No one's disputing that. Hey, it's what you do best. You give clear, concise.
And then I try to repeat it to people, and it's like I apologize that this note is so long. I didn't have the time to write a shorter one.
Okay, so Ash, you called out that Asterion appears in the monster manual. If you go to the Discord podcast chat, I have posted the official art in the 2024 Player's Handbook for the spell Daylight. Now, I want you to look at the very bottom right corner.
In the Player's Handbook? Where did you post it?
In the podcast channel in Discord.
Let's see. The bottom right. Oh my god!
Yeah!
It's Asterion!
It's Asterion! He's everywhere! He's in all three of the books.
So wait, what's happening in this picture? Somebody's casting daylight.
Yeah.
A bunch of vampires are being lit on fire from the daylight, and then Asterion is just standing in the corner, all like menacing like?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he's attempting to charge in.
Yeah, he's clearly a vampire spawn. Also, did you know that Neil Newbin, the guy who voices Asterion, is canonically the voice of Vecna?
Really?
He did the advertisement for Vecna Eve of Ruin. Like, he'd spoken Vecna's voice. It was just a little teaser trailer, but they brought in Vecna into, I think it was Dead by Daylight or something like that, and he voiced him as well.
I thought Matt Mercer did that. No?
Was it?
Yeah.
Might have been. Maybe I'm wrong. I apologize. But I know he did the voice for the teaser trailer.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm very happy for Neil. He loved playing Asterion, and he deserved the award that he got. So
no, keep podcasting.
Right, well, should we call it there, folks?
Let's do it.
I'm sleepy.
Oh wait, before we go, I found the quote for Asterion. It's under vampire. It says, "Darling, you are simply delicious." Asterion, vampire spawn. And some people pointed out, I think that would piss Asterion off, being called a vampire spawn.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's what he is, but
still doesn't have to like it.
Pretty sure he even says that.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I hope that was
good night, chat.
That was a good Asterion impression. I apologize.
It was good.
Thank you. Bye, chat.